The goal of every mosquito control program is to reduce the overall number of mosquitoes in a community. This is done in two different ways. One is larviciding, the other is adultaciding. A lot of people don't realize there's two different components, and if all of our efforts to control them in the water are unsuccessful and the mosquitoes start to come out of the water as flying, biting adults, we need to knock those numbers down, and the way to do that is through adultaciding measures. There are two different ways that we affect the adult stage of mosquito. One of them is through barrier treatments, which is very similar to what you might use at your home. The type of liquids that you can attach to your hose and spray your grass or bushes or flower beds. We do have to be careful, however, not to affect the beneficial insects that we all want to keep. So follow labels, do what you need to do there, and the city does a very similar job in areas where people congregate quite a bit. The more visual part of our program is through our sprays. This is when our spray trucks are out, and probably what most people believe is the primary part of our program. This is actually a very small part, but I want to explain a little bit more about that. Our sprays are not just on a calendar at a routine time. They come because of the data that we collect. We have several different traps throughout the city that are collected each day that are brought back to our lab and identified down to genus and species. There are over 43 different species of mosquito in the state of South Dakota, but there's only a handful that we see here and about 5 that we care about. There are 2 different thresholds that we pay close attention to. One of them is our high-risk mosquito. That's called a Culex mosquito. And then we have our heavy biters, which are a nuisance mosquito. The thresholds are slightly different, but they are aligned with CDC standards. And when those traps start to meet or exceed those thresholds, we want to spray. So when we do spray, it might just be one zone or one part of town. But if a third of our traps are exceeding those thresholds, we will do an entire citywide spray. Now this is a pretty monumental effort because each zone takes one truck about 5 hours to get through. So when we begin about 8 o'clock p.m., which we do so because of the beneficial insects that we don't want to come in contact with, they are done foraging and are roosting for the evening, and that's when mosquito activity begins to peak. We go out, we will spray till approximately 1 o'clock in the morning to get through a zone. With this type of a schedule, it takes us about 3 nights to get through the city. We do need to be very, very careful though, because there are weather parameters that we need to stay between. If it's over 55 degrees, we are fine. If it's too cold, we can't. If it's raining or if it's too windy, our spray is ineffective also. The trucks are utilizing a ULV spray system, which stands for ultra low volume. When it is shot through the back of the truck, it creates a cloud that has 1 billion tiny particles. Our goal is that a mosquito flies through that cloud and comes in contact with one of the particles to control it. If a mosquito doesn't come in contact with it, it did not work. In the end, there's less than a teaspoon of active ingredient per acre that comes out of the back of this. The product is mixed with a carrier oil that's a lot like vegetable oil you would use in your kitchen. So it's very safe, but it looks ominous. There is a large cloud, and that's the reason that that cloud is existing, so that it hovers as long as possible. And when we meet all of those weather parameters, we get good control of mosquitoes. In the end, it dissipates within a very short period of time and is safe for people. We do put out press releases though, so that people are aware of where we're going to spray, when we're going to spray, and the products we're using. So if they're sensitive to it, have a medical sensitivity, or just simply want to stay inside, they have the choice to do so. But just know that when a truck goes by, within about 15 minutes, everything is kind of settled and you can proceed with your evening, and it shouldn't interrupt your lifestyle too much in the summer. If you have additional questions about the products that are being used or the process that we go through in order to decide when and where to spray, please call the Mosquito Control Hotline at 367-8799.